In the remote depths of the Amazon jungle, nestled among the towering trees and dense foliage, lay a small cacao farm. This farm, run by a dedicated farmer named Miguel, had been in his family for generations. The rich, fertile soil and the warm, humid climate made it an ideal location for cultivating the prized cacao pods that were the lifeblood of his livelihood. Miguel's days were long and arduous, but he took pride in his work, believing that his farm produced the finest cacao in the region. One sweltering afternoon, as Miguel was inspecting the cacao trees, his machete struck something hard just below the surface of the soil. Curiosity piqued, he knelt down and began to dig with his hands, revealing a peculiar, ancient-looking stone covered in intricate carvings. The markings were unlike anything he had ever seen, and as he lifted the stone, a chill ran down his spine despite the oppressive heat. Miguel carried the stone back to his modest farmhouse, where he placed it on a shelf in his workshop, hoping to decipher its mysterious symbols later. That night, he fell into a deep, restless sleep, plagued by vivid nightmares of shadowy figures whispering in a foreign tongue. He awoke in a cold sweat, his heart pounding in his chest, but dismissed the dreams as a product of exhaustion and stress. The following morning, Miguel was shocked to discover that his once thriving cacao trees had withered overnight. The leaves were brown and brittle, and the once plump pods hung shriveled and lifeless. Panic set in as he realized the potential disaster this could spell for his farm and his livelihood. Desperate for answers, he sought out the village elder, Don Alejandro, a man known for his wisdom and knowledge of the region's ancient lore. Don Alejandro listened intently as Miguel recounted the discovery of the stone and the subsequent nightmares. When Miguel produced the stone, the elder's face grew pale, and he recoiled in horror. He explained that the stone was an artifact from a long-lost tribe, a relic of a cursed civilization that had once thrived in the very jungle where Miguel's farm now stood. The tribe, known as the Xibalbans, had angered their gods, who cursed them with eternal suffering and destruction. The stone, Don Alejandro warned, was a conduit for their vengeful spirits, and anyone who disturbed it would be doomed to share their fate. Despite the elder's dire warnings, Miguel was skeptical. He couldn't bring himself to believe in curses and spirits, attributing the farm's sudden decline to natural causes. However, as the days turned into weeks, the misfortunes continued to mount. Strange noises echoed through the fields at night, and the whispers from his dreams seemed to follow him everywhere. His workers, frightened by the eerie occurrences, began to leave, and soon Miguel was left alone to tend to his dying crops. Determined to save his farm, Miguel sought advice from experts and tried every remedy he could think of. But nothing worked. The whispers grew louder and the nights more terrifying as he found himself increasingly isolated. The once thriving farm became a place of dread and despair, with Miguel's mental and physical health deteriorating rapidly. One stormy night, unable to bear the torment any longer, Miguel decided to confront the source of his misery. Armed with his machete and a lantern, he ventured into the cacao fields, rain pouring down in torrents. The whispers were deafening now, and ghostly apparitions seemed to flit among the trees, their mournful eyes watching his every move. Miguel found the stone glowing ominously, surrounded by the heart of the plantation's spectral figures of the Xibalban tribe. They chanted in their ancient tongue, their voices a haunting melody of sorrow and rage. As Miguel raised his machete to strike the stone, a bolt of lightning struck the ground, blinding him momentarily. When his vision cleared, he saw that the earth had opened up beneath the stone, and it was slowly sinking into the depths, dragging Miguel with it. Desperately, Miguel tried to escape, but the spectral hands of the Xibalbans held him fast. As he was pulled into the chasm, the last thing he heard was their chilling lament, a song of eternal suffering that echoed through the jungle. The ground closed over him, and the storm ceased as abruptly as it had begun. The next morning, when the villagers ventured to Miguel's farm, They found it abandoned and overgrown, the cacao trees reclaimed by the jungle. There was no sign of Miguel or the stone, and the only evidence of his existence were the eerie whispers that still floated on the wind, a haunting reminder of the cursed land and the farmer who had dared to disturb its ancient secrets. Don Alejandro, upon hearing the villagers' account, nodded solemnly and performed a cleansing ritual, hoping to appease the restless spirits and bring peace to the land. But the legend of Miguel and the cursed cacao farm endured, a tale of caution and mystery that was passed down through generations, a reminder of the dark forces that lurk in the heart of the jungle.